Hey folks, welcome back. Today's video is going to be the 4-year aftermarket parts review video. So as a lot of you know, if you follow the channel, I've got a heck of a lot of aftermarket parts on the vehicle and they've all been installed at different stages in the 4-year life. But on my list today, I have a breakdown of the parts that I'm going to be covering within this video. So I'm going to be talking about the brand new brakes, the air suspension, the Revo Stage 1 Remap, the Dometic fridge, the leather retrim seats, the LED headlights and the lamps within those lights, and also the T6.1 LED rear lights. Anyway, let's get the intro out the way and we're going to get straight into it when we get back. Okay, let's get into this then, and I'm going to start off with the brakes. If you've not seen it, I did a video quite recently. It's probably, I'm going to estimate September of last year. September, October. Yeah, possibly October actually. Anyway, there's a video on the channel where I've installed the Nutex drilled and grooved brake discs, and of late that's been the most inquired about video for this review, to see how I'm getting on with them. And I'm probably getting up to about 4,000 miles on these now. So the black face has now completely skimmed off and away. Took around about 2 weeks for that to fully go, and you've got a nice shiny silver surface, which actually the grooves and the dimples pop because of the black background versus the silver. But look really good through the wheel, to be fair. They're very, very, very standout now. The big question is, was it worth it? And I'm going to say yes. It's a big yes, because one of the things I noticed is the wet weather performance. Definitely a good improvement there. I was driving through some pretty torrential rain. When I was braking in this rain, it was more or less a flood, and I was impressed with the pedal, because I know that is where I was seeing that there was improvements. It must have been able to disperse the water better, that's all I can say, but did notice a huge improvement on that braking, because I had to brake quite sharply and they were brilliant. In terms of the dust build-up, because it was put to me that there should be a lot lower dust, if any, in terms of brake dust on the wheel. Definitely a huge reduction on what I did have to what I've got now, especially when I was running the silver wheels. I could tell that after between washes there was a lot less black brake dust on those rims, so that's going to help with preserving your wheels. And also, when just the fact that when you've just finished washing it and you want to take it down the road, it was certainly on a T32, you get a lot of build up straight away, so it feels like you're wasting your time with washing the wheels to such a level. Yeah, they look good, they don't squeak. The dust levels have definitely reduced in terms of between washes, and so do I recommend them? Yes, I certainly do. Absolutely no regrets. So if you haven't already copped yourself a set and you're thinking about it, it gets my thumbs up yet again. I believe that there's a discount code as well, still valid. If you put in T6 project in the checkout, you should save yourself an extra 5%. And I don't actually sell the brakes, just to be clear, because somebody actually did think that I sold the brakes. Nothing to do with the sales. I'm a customer at the end of the day running them. So you need to go to Nutex's website if you want to get yourself any part of the brake in, or all of it. They do all models. So that's the brakes. Next up, I'm going to talk about the air suspension. So had the air suspension installed on the van for around about 2.5 years, I reckon. And it's probably done around about 20,000 miles on the air suspension system. There's been a couple of things that have gone wrong with the air suspension. That would be that the control panel went wrong. You may have seen the video when I revealed the find, but it was we weren't sure what was going wrong with it, where it wasn't responding to the various presets and it was slowly getting worse. Anyway, it turned out to be a control panel problem with a soldering issue inside the panel. So once that was rectified, the air suspension was completely fixed again. And with that being said, I got to say that actually it's been extremely good, and that could have happened to anybody because it's just a dry joint. So it was nothing to do with the shocks or the airlines or the compressor or any of it. What was interesting, because I've had it for about 2.5 years, I've been through 2.5 winters, two winters, and summers and all the various other seasons. This year was the first time that we saw any issue with low temperatures, because one morning we went out to the van around about early December, I think, when it went very cold, or late November, and yeah, the compressors tried to come on just to put a bit of air in the tank, and they were frozen. So I needed to disarm them because they were trying to operate, which probably wasn't doing them any good. I'm not entirely sure, but in my mind they weren't working and they were trying to, so I thought it was a better idea to shut them down. In doing that, I had a bit of a schoolboy error, because I've got 2 children sitting in the back waiting to go to school, and I didn't actually need to touch the suspension in terms of ride height, because we were just going to get in it, defrost the screen and go. But when I went to go into the menus, I actually aired out, so that wasn't a good move. Anyway, that said, the cold weather did play a part in the compressors not being able to operate, but it's an extreme which in this country it's not regular that that's going to be an issue. So other than that, I've been extremely pleased with the suspension. It's been very handy, because when we've arrived at certain places on our holiday trips, it's actually been a godsend, because there's been certain campsites with a steep entranceway. There was a couple of beaches where we went down to their low car parks, and you know, it would have been doing some damage to the bumpers and the body parts had it not been for the air ride. It does also make it very comfortable. Being in a few friends' transporters, which has got various lows, different setups, that's when it reminds me how much comfort, a sensible ride height, you're going to get from the air system over other systems, coilovers or springs, or so on and so on. So yes, again, I would do the air ride again if I was at the start of this journey, based on what I know now. So if you're thinking about having air fitted and this is going to help encourage you, I have actually been really pleased with my setup. 2.5 years down the line, it's still working great. So yeah. The next topic to cover is the Revo Stage 1 map. So I've covered about 15,000 miles on that map, and it's been hassle-free, completely hassle-free. There's been no regrets or no issues that I've come to find. I've been able to take it into the garage. They've asked me if there have been modifications to the map, etc. Main dealer, which I said yes, no issues. So it seems as though some of the worries that some people might have when they're going to do it definitely haven't affected me. A big question that's asked on it a lot is, how does it affect your warranty? Well, if you've had it mapped, there will be no warranty on that ECU map. I'm certain of it. I luckily have not had to test it out, because Revo, I believe, have got a very well tested software package, so I had confidence in fitting it on the van, and that has paid off because it's been absolutely fine. The performance was noticeable. Most for me, because I've sort of seen different views on this, but I found it was really noticeable on my van when you're sitting at around about 50 and you then accelerate hard up to 70, 75. There's a huge difference in that little bit of range there, but there is also a difference right from the start, from a takeoff through to wherever it is you're going to go to. There's a noticeable difference to the performance. I just think the most noticeable part was when you're sitting around 40, 50 miles per hour and then you accelerate. So typically that's going to be when you're trying to make an overtake on a main road or something, or a busy road. That's that level that you need. It seems to be really responsive there. So yeah, with it not causing the van any issues mile to mile, weather to weather, and taken into garages and them not having issues with doing anything or servicing the vehicle based on the fact that it's been mapped, it has not been regretful in any way, shape or form. So if you are thinking of having a remap, then it certainly gets my thumbs up. But disclaimer, I am not an expert in the field. I'm only going on my own experiences with what's happened to my transporter. So that's the Revo map. What we got next? I'm going to talk about the Dometic fridge next, because that's come up on my questions on the various platforms numerous times when people have seen it in my camping trip videos and so on and so on. And it is, and also I'm impressed with it. So when I purchased this fridge, because I don't think you can buy the exact model that I've got now, which is a CFX 28. If you get your hands on one, it's going to probably be old stock or a used one, but I think the CFX range, like for like, so it's about the volume basically, because 28 is one of the smaller ones, 25 I think being the smallest, and they go up from there, so you've got 35 and so on. But the CFX 28, which is the one I've got, has got a great volume. It's quiet, but it is mega efficient at what it's doing. So it's drawing very low power. And when we were on some of our, because I've owned this fridge for probably about 4 years. I think we've had it since the beginning of the journey, and the van is just over 4 years old now. But we've been into some countries, France before COVID and this country this year, where that fridge is on in the summer on my other battery, but it's been sitting in a van which is sweltering. And we had that day last year where I was at Caffeine and Machine, if you saw the video, where it was about 40 something degrees, hottest day for years, and the fridge was on, and I open up the boot when the vehicle inside, when I come back to it parked, must have been 1,000 degrees in there. It was absolutely sweltering, and it's still holding 3 or 4 degrees in that fridge, which is insane. That's where I'm most impressed, is that it can still do its job at those temperatures, because it's drawing in hot air in that cabin, and yet it's still able to work. Because experience with camping fridges in the tent, we've got a 200 odd pound sort of camping fridge, typical box fridge that plugs into your hookup and that, and that would never be able to do anything like that, because on those days where the tent is hot, it's climbing up into some of the slightly dangerous temperatures when you got cold meats and stuff. But yeah, we trust this fridge more than anything else I've got in the camping box, because we'll put we actually put our Christmas turkey in that fridge this year, because the main fridge in this house was full to the brim with all the snacky foods and whatever, just as you do. And we needed something to give, so we decided to put the turkey in the van, switch the fridge on, and keep it in there for a few days prior to needing it. That's how much we trust that fridge. So yeah, it's not cheap, because the fridge cost me, I think, about £650. And when people have asked me that in person about, you know, what fridge, etc. and whatever, the price has always been the bit where people have cut away. But you do get what you pay for. And I would imagine if you're buying something in the region of £200, it's going to be like the camping fridge I described earlier that we have, that's not able, it's not going to work on some of these hot days, or if it's bumping around too much. Anyway, it's got a light inside, it's quiet, as I said before, it's got a cage which you can remove or keep it in there. It depends what kind of things you're storing, if you need a bit of extra volume, or you find the cage handy to divide your butters and stuff and your cans of drink. It will take a bottle of wine standing up in the deep part as well. So that's the CFX 28 Dometic fridge. Okay. Next, I'm going to cover off the retrimmed leather seats.
I know my destiny.
And yeah, I took the van up to Leighton Vans to take advantage of an offer that they were doing, to be fair, because I had my eye on some seats at Raceline Vans. They were the ultimate, but this offer to have your own seats recovered in this kit was just too good to pass up with the savings that they were making. And so it does transform the interior. It really does give it a lift, especially when I look back at an old photo and remind myself of what was in there, because at the time it didn't feel like the seats were under par, or I really needed to do something with them. They were comfortable to ride in, etc. But now having these leather seats, whenever I refer back to a picture, it really reminds me actually there's a huge transformation that's gone on by having these seats done. So the comfort that the original seats from the factory retain for long journeys, that they're pretty good, to be fair. They are a decent seat and you feel like you can travel a good distance in that seat. Sometimes when you switch out to race seats or the wingbacks or whatever, that you're not going to be as comfortable if you've been 4 hours without a stop or something. Although they look awesome, it's the comfort that's sacrificed a bit for long journeys. With the transporter seats getting retrimmed, you're retaining the comfort and you are lifting the level of the van and the feel of it inside, so giving it more of a car-based interior, I feel. They had two patterns and I went with the diamond stitch, yeah, I've been really pleased. There's been no sign of anything coming away, there's no sign of any bolster wear or anything like that, and I've probably done around about 12,000 miles on those seats, so certainly the driver one should be an example if anything was going to start to fail at this point. But it's all holding together real nice, and many times people will comment on them when they see them. So really pleased with the seats, no qualms there. So if you're interested in where they came from, that's Leighton Vans up in Sheffield, who did that. They fully took care of everything. I drove the van up, waited in their waiting area because they knew I was coming a long way, so I did it within a day, which I think they usually like to keep it. If you're a bit more local, they'll probably say, could you leave the keys, etc. But If you ask nicely, I'm sure if you're not local and you're driving a long way, they'll be able to take care of it whilst you wait. But it is a good day. It does take a good day to sort it, so it'll be a long old day if you're doing that. And that's the seat. So video on that, as I said before, if you haven't seen it, go and check that out. The next thing I want to cover off is the big one, really. Everybody that hasn't got halogen lights from the factory will know that you can't drive these things well at night. When you've got the halogen lights and not the LED, I should say, when you haven't got the LED ones from the factory, and disclaimer, if you are in the process of buying one of these or about to, opt for the LED lights as a factory option. Honestly, that's my best advice that I could give, because it's my one biggest regret that I didn't do that. Anyway, as a great backup plan, I've installed on the van and made a video on this too, the Transporter HQ LED V2s version 2 sequential headlamps. On top of that, we've installed the LED lamps for both the driving lights and the main beam, high beam, low beam, etc. They're all LED now, so when I flash my main beam, you got mega road illumination. And with the headlamps and normal driving, when you can't use your main beam, that's also a massive improvement on the standard lights. The actual headlamp unit's been in my van for quite a while now. I'm going to say about 3 years, and there's been no issues with the headlights. They've not leaked, they've not found any moisture build up inside, they haven't discoloured on the plastics. It's still very new and looks very OEM as well. I originally put the LED bulb in the driving light, which was more or less plug and play. There was no coding or issues there, because they've got like a transponder or something on the light itself, which helps for the electronics to not throw up all these warning lights to say that there's an issue. But on the main beam side, they haven't got that. So if you fit the, I think it's the H1 for the main beam, high beam, you'll have to have the VAGCOM coding done, which either Transporter HQ will do, or if you know anybody with a garage, or an independent that can actually plug you in and recode it so that the light doesn't come on when you turn your main beam on. You will need to do that if you're gonna put the H1 bulbs in. The difference, I wish I had a video to show you, because somebody said why didn't I do that, based on the way I make my channel and the way I do my videos. I don't know why I didn't have a before and after. I think I was just too keen to rip out those candle bulbs and put in the transporter lights. But I will show you, I'll throw it up now, a flash on my route home on this bit of road that I pulled over on, and you see what I'm talking about. That's what it's like now. So LED lights, Transporter HQ, I definitely give them a recommend. There was a version 3 as well of this, which is exactly the same headlight in terms of all of the bulbs. You can put them the wiring and everything, but the indicator is the thing that's different. I did have them on mine for a little while because I tried them out, which was courtesy of Transporter HQ. They kindly sent me a set to have a play with when we were in COVID, actually, so there was nothing going on, and I popped the bumper off and installed them. There is a video for that as well. I did record that. I found though that I was happier with my version 2s, because call me a bit of an 80s man, but I really like the sequential indicator, the way they sort of go out, and that's the real difference between the two different sets of lights. So that's the LED lights. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the new lights that I've put on the back. I've installed the travelling light, T6.1 style rear sequential lights. This came about because I really wanted to take the Transporter HQ lights that I had and try and encourage both reversing lights to work. I had it in my head that it shouldn't be that difficult to be able to get some sort of wire across to the other side and make both sides for the reversing light work, because it was really, where I live, there's no lights up here, and trying to reverse in the dark was a problem with just the one side on. So anyway, long story short, that was not possible because there was no actual LEDs inside the spare on the other side, so it ended there. And with that being said, the travelling light actually contacted me and said about their new set, which is the T6.1 style. So immediately my eyes lit up and I thought, yeah, I'd like a set of those. They've got 2 reversing lights on them, because there's a loom that comes with it where you pipe across to the other side, so you can actually take your original wiring loom and get both sides working, and I think both fog lights as well. I did do a video on this, and I also did a little bit of a promo shot for travelling light, something we worked out between us. So I'll throw that up at the end of this video as well, in the outtakes if you want, because just because I like to share my work. But these lights were really easy to fit. You'll see that from the video if you go off and watch that on the driveway playlist. But massively impressed with the reverse lights now. They're super bright, got both sides working, and my original problem with trying to reverse up my driveway in the dark is gone, because it's fully lit behind me. It's seriously good. The sequential indicators are cool because that kind of ties in with the front. As I've got them on the front, it just meant that I've got them sort of all round. I've got them on the side. The whole van has now got a sequential feel to its indicators. Nice and bright, and also they look, I don't know, like a transformer style kind of looking thing when they're on at dusk. They look really good. As you can see by this footage, this is the back of my van with dusky sort of light. It really does look the part with those lights in. So really pleased with those as well. Had them on the van, got to be probably just under a year, I think. I think it was about summer last year I fitted them. So they've been through all weathers now. No issues, no leaks. They're not taking on any water or anything. So yeah, that is the travelling light T6.1 lights. I shall leave a link to all the products that I can link down in the description. So if you've been interested in any of this, I will leave links. I won't be able to leave a link for the fridge because I don't think it's a current model anymore. But yeah, with the lights, headlights, I will leave links in the description below. I think that's going to be enough for this video, because I've covered those topics which a lot of people have asked me about in recent weeks. When's the review coming on certain parts? Hopefully this video has helped you to see where I'm at now and what I think of those products, because it's all very well when you put a product on when it's brand new, but sometimes it can be a different story 3 or 4 months after, or maybe longer. As you heard, a lot of this stuff's actually been on the van for some time now and covered some miles, so it's just nice to give back and give you a bit of feedback on how those things have worked out, what my thoughts are. Would I, I'm sure there are products that come out that people have had and think I wouldn't touch that again ever. So yeah, just really sort of putting it back as to how I'm getting on with everything. If I didn't discuss something that you know is on my van in this video, drop it in the comments. I'll note it and I will do another video in due course. where if there's anything that I have missed that you want me to talk about, I'll make a note of it and I'll bring it up on the next review. That's going to be it for this video. If you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. It's all free. Like and share the video for anybody you think this might help on any social media. That really helps the channel grow as well. And the next video coming real soon will be, you'll have to wait and see. Take care. I'll see you soon.